Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the show. I'm really excited for today's episode as I'm going to be joined by my friend, Mary Lou Rodriguez. She's a hypnotherapist, and I've actually worked with her over the past couple months, finding this work really fascinating and benefiting me in unleashing some more of my healing potential. So just to give you a little bit of background on Mary Lou, she is a certified clinical hypnotherapist. She's licensed with the National Guild of Hypnotists, and she's a master hypnotist. When she's not working her hypnotic magic, Mary Lou can be found enjoying the outdoors in the lush Pacific Northwest. She loves hiking and meditating in nature, and her fascination with the human brain has her regularly studying neuroscience as a lifelong learner. So Mary Lou's business is called LIfe Guidance Hypnosis, and we'll make sure that you have a link to her website if you want to learn more about her. But I'm excited to dive into today's episode and talk a little bit more about what hypnosis is and what it isn't, because I think probably most of us have some misconceptions, and just to dive into the power of working with the subconscious mind, which is what hypnosis is all about. So I'm going to welcome Mary Lou to the show in just a moment, and I hope that you really love this episode and love Mary Lou as much as I love talking with her. So welcome to the show, Mary Lou. I'm excited for our conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, Lynn. I'm really honored and excited to be here.
Yeah, this should be a great conversation. I know our listeners will really benefit from this. So
beautiful.
So I always like to start with just the question of what's kind of the story of how you got into hypnosis and hypnotherapy. So can you tell us just a little bit about what brought you to this work?
Yeah, so a couple things brought me to this work. First was my journey to get sober.
Okay.
I had, it was 4.5 years ago, I'd come to a point in my life where I knew that alcohol had taken over. Mm-hmm. And I knew that it had to do with my brain. Mm-hmm. And so I cannot remember how I came across hypnotherapy, honestly. And I thought, I wonder if that could help me with alcohol. Mm-hmm. And I ended up seeing a hypnotherapist, and after about 10 sessions, and so this was her caveat, she asked me to also commit to a recovery program, mm-hmm. whatever that was, so that I could have the support that I needed to be able to get sober and stay sober. And so mm-hmm. that's what I did.
Wonderful.
Yep. So that's how I found hypnotherapy.
Okay. And then kind of what drew you into doing more of the work and
right.
kind of making this your life's work.
That's right. 6 months after I was able to get sober and my life really started to thrive, mm-hmm. My mom had a stroke and she ended up going into a coma. So about a year into her coma, and I became her primary caregiver. Mm-hmm. And about a year into her coma, I used that time, because there can be a lot of downtime when somebody's in a coma, and I used that time to really find out who Mary Lou is and what makes Mary Lou happy. I came across this program on Hay House called Making the Mind Matter with Dr. JoeDispenza. Mm. And so I started learning about the brain. And about a year after my mom was still in a coma, one night I was looking at her and I thought, what if I could talk to her subconscious mind? Mm. And we had tried everything else, so I had nothing to lose. Yeah. I had nothing to lose. And so the next day, I enrolled in hypnotherapy school, and I told my mentor, who's still my mentor, at the time, I was like, I'm here to bring my mom back from a coma, because that was my goal. And that didn't end up happening. Mm-hmm. She decided that she was going to transition, and mm-hmm. so she passed, and it's been 2 years. And right after she passed, I had enough courage, mm-hmm. and I decided that I was going to practice hypnotherapy. So I opened my practice almost 2 years ago.
Beautiful. Yes. Yeah. Wonderful. What a wonderful story of both how it helped you and kind of the process of connecting to your mom, and probably it helped you through your healing process of that as well.
It absolutely did, Lynn. I've got to say, it was one of the most challenging times in my life. It was even harder than getting sober to see my mom in that state of mind and not mm-hmm. be able to help her, and to know that there was really all I could do is to love her. And it was such a painful time in my life, and something so beautiful came from it. You know, I feel like my mom she put me on this path. And it
Beautiful.
was a gift that she gave to me to be able to help heal the world.
That's so beautiful. I know. I think so many people, and I hear stories when I ask kind of that question of how a lot of this always comes out of a very difficult time in our life, whether it be our health crisis, something like you went through with your mom, how it truly can be a gift and a blessing. And I think it's wonderful to share stories like that, because sometimes people are going through some hard stuff in their life, and it can be hard to see, the silver lining of that.
That's right. That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right.
Thank you for sharing that part of your story and kind of inspiring people to see that there can be the other side of things.
Right. And, the last 2 years have been amazing.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, let's dive into a little bit of kind of what hypnotherapy is, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there. You probably deal with this a lot when you meet people. They think it's like what they've seen on TV or in a movie, and they're going to cluck like a chicken or do weird things. So tell us, what really is hypnotherapy?
Yeah. So I like to say that hypnotherapy is a relaxation of the mind and the body. But what it really is, it's such a powerful way to make change in your life, to heal a belief, to heal a behavior that's not serving you, to heal deep-rooted issues, because 95% of who we are is located in our subconscious mind. So in hypnosis, I'm able to bypass the conscious mind, our analytical mind, and go right into that part of our brain where 95% of who we are is located, our beliefs, our emotions, our memories, and that's where we can make the change.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. So kind of talk us through, what does that process then look like so people can have a sense of what do you do in a session to guide them into that state?
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about, the actual, like what I actually do when I am hypnotizing somebody. And then I want to step back and talk about the pre-session before we do hypnosis, which is just as powerful. But the actual hypnotizing happens where I have somebody, I take them through a series of exercises to relax their mind and their body. So what that means is that I ask them to count backwards. I ask them to tap into their imagination and visualize warm waves of relaxation moving through their body. So as they are doing these exercises, their mind begins to relax naturally. And these exercises are beautiful because when you are sending a wave of relaxation down your body, you're not thinking about your kids. You're not thinking about what you need to do next. All you're doing is following my instructions, and then you slip into deep relaxation very naturally. And it's almost like daydreaming. So once you're in that deep, relaxed state, that is when I talk to your beautiful subconscious mind, and we begin reprogramming. So that's what it looks like.
And I can speak from kind of the experience of having worked with you, and it definitely, you just kind of get very deeply relaxed, and, sometimes you get drifty and you don't even remember certain things. And sometimes you're present, but you feel just so relaxed, like more relaxed than you probably felt in a very long time.
Yeah. And a lot of people describe it as daydreaming. It feels like they're not quite awake and they're not quite asleep. And sometimes physically they can feel like a little bit of a tingling sensation. So everybody's a little bit different, but typically that's what I hear from clients.
Beautiful. Yeah. And then you kind of mentioned about how you kind of have a beginning process as well before you kind of take someone into that state.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit of a different hypnotist in the sense that really I think all hypnotists do deep work. However, I like to spend time figuring out what your fears are around why you're seeing me. Like, what are your biggest fears? And we reframe those fears into a beautiful affirmation. And that beautiful affirmation is what I'm telling your subconscious mind. And this is how we get to the root of the problem, because you're telling me exactly what it is that you want to overcome. And then I give that information to your beautiful mind, and then your beautiful mind reprograms it, all the new neural pathways, all of that beautiful stuff that happens when you're hypnotized. But I call it the pre-session before hypnosis is just as important, because these are what you want to these are the beliefs, the new beliefs that you want to have in your life.
Right.
These are the new behaviors that you want to have in your life. These are the new ways that you want to feel in your life. And so when you're in hypnosis, I have you visualizing that. So it's powerful work. Not to get too technical, because I can get lost in being too technical. So I'm going to keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Yeah, it is. It's a really neat process because you work, I can speak to that you work with the person to kind of figure out what the best, phrasing of something is. Like what do we need to hear when we're in that deeply relaxed state?
Right. Yep.
And then I can speak to sometimes it pops in. Like for me, I was working with you on some anxiety due to a car accident and having trouble, driving in certain situations. And sometimes I can hear those phrases pop in my head. Like when that trigger happens and I see a semi, it's like, oh, when I see a semi, I take a deep breath and I take a deep breath.
That's right. That's right. It is so powerful.
It's pretty amazing.
It is. It's a really beautiful and effective way to heal or to create.
Yes. So let's talk more about the subconscious, because I know that's where the juice is.
That is where the juice is. Yeah.
So why is it so much more effective to kind of go in and get right into the subconscious instead of working with people kind of on a conscious level? Right.
Well, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a framework here about our subconscious mind. So I know that I shared that it's 95% of who we are, and that sometimes doesn't really mean anything to anybody. So I want to explain, when we're born, pretty much from the time that we're 9, 10, or 11 years old, studies vary, we live in our subconscious mind. And so what that means is that everything that we saw, everything that we were told, everything that we heard from our parents, from our teachers, from family members, whoever, we believed to be true. So some people call it indoctrinated, some people call it programmed, but those are the beliefs that we develop. So if we were told when we were younger that we were always in the way,
right,
or that this is good, but it could be a little bit better. If
you're not quite good enough.
You're not quite good enough. If we were told that over and over and over again, we believe that to be true because we didn't have the faculties to be able to say, no, Mom, this is beautiful work. It's perfect just the way it is.
Right.
And, our parents did the best job that they could. So it's not a reflection on that, but it's how our beliefs were formed. It's what we believe about ourselves. So during that time that we were living in our subconscious mind is very powerful because all of our beliefs were created during that time. And it has an effect on who we are now as adults. Now we can change that. And we know that if we don't have the outcomes that we want in our life, so if we're not the weight that we want to be, if we're having anxiety, if you don't have the outcomes that you want in your life, that's an indicator for you to be like, what's happening here? What's going on? And sometimes people will see me and not really know that it's about worthiness, or it's that it's the self-love. We're not always taught to love ourselves. I learned to love myself as an adult.
Right. Yeah. It's a thing. I think that maybe a lot of parents hadn't been taught themselves. So then they don't know how to teach that to their kids. It's just a perpetual cycle of.
That is exactly right.
There's no class on, the importance of kind of self-love.
That's right.
That most of us go through.
That's right. That's right. I know that if my mom knew better, she would have done better. She did the best that she could.
Right. Yeah. And that's always the challenge, for parents for sure is, we kind of parents do the best they can with whatever they experienced growing up and whatever they know. But
so as the adult, I had the opportunity to figure out, why aren't I happy? What am I here to be doing? Why am I drinking? So it gave me, as an adult, I realized I didn't have the outcomes that I wanted in my life. So how could I change that?
Cool. So it all kind of came back to, the early programming.
The early programming. That's right.
Kind of then you were trying to use the alcohol as kind of a way to fill something that probably wasn't.
That's exactly right, Lynn.
Part of your life. Beautiful.
That's exactly right.
Beautiful. Well, I know
Yeah.
you and I both share a love of Dr. JoeDispenza and his work, and
Yes.
so I wanted to
Yes.
definitely make sure we talk a little
Yes.
bit about that.
Yes.
And I know your work is unique in terms of hypnotherapy because a lot of people probably don't bring that in.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about kind of, I know you mentioned him at the very beginning,
Yeah.
but kind of
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
influence does he have on
He has
your work?
such a big influence in my life. I
Yes.
mean, he's changed. I mean, his teachings have changed my life. I have a daily practice, a meditation practice, so I understand the power of meditation. And in meditation, I do self-hypnosis. So I've
Nice.
combined the two. So I'm hypnotizing myself and I'm reprogramming, because a lot of his meditations are reprogramming the mind. So my mom's brain was the first brain that I fell in love with. And because I wanted to understand
what was
going on when she was in a coma. And that all of it, like learning about Dr. JoeDispenza and learning about the brain, then falling in love with my mom's brain, learning neuroscience. Like I look back now and I can see how all the dots connected for me to be doing what I'm doing now, even though at the time I was confused. But Dr. JoeDispenza, he believes in creation. You know, he says if we're not in, you know, we can live two different ways, either in survival or in creation. And I choose to live my life in creation. And, you know, he talks about where we focus our attention is where our energy is. And it's so true. So I focus on who I'm being, happy and joyful, and what I want to create in my life. So every morning, you better believe I am creating my day. I'm creating my week. I'm creating my goals. I'm creating my life, and I'm doing the self-hypnosis. So I'm making it twice as powerful. Beautiful. And so I take he has so he doesn't call it manifesting, but there's two techniques that I use in my practice, which is one, having a clear intention. So that's what our affirmations are. When we do when we reframe our fears into beautiful affirmations, that's a clear intention. And the second thing is an elevated emotion. So when you're in hypnosis and I am repeating the beautiful affirmation that we created together, which is a clear intention. And then I'll say to you things like open your heart and fall in love and feel that elevated emotion to that intention. That is Dr. Joe at his best. And it is. And I love it because I understand the power of our minds. Because when we're deeply relaxed, our brain does not know the difference between what's happening in our beautiful mind versus what's happening in the real world. So it's amazing.
It is truly amazing. It's amazing how we have that access, you know, and our brain doesn't know the difference between what we're imagining and what's real. So
that's right.
Which can be a double-edged sword, right? Because if we're spending time in fear and we're always imagining the worst case scenario, our body is marinating in that versus, visualizing the ideal outcome that we want. We're getting.
That's right.
And I geek out on all of, you know, how all of our neurotransmitters, hormones and stuff, you know, resonate with all of that information. And I know. We can totally change what's happening in our biochemistry from that as well.
I know. I love it. I love it. I love when I'm like, oh, I'm creating a new neuron right now, you know, or whatever it is, you know, it's like, I just love it. I love his teachings, and I've seen him live, and I hope to see him again. And his work has changed my life. And as a result, I get to help other people change their lives.
Yes, that's the beauty of it too, is it's something that you can pass on and keep on sharing with the world.
That's right.
So beautiful, beautiful. Let's see, I'm just looking at, I know I have a couple of questions.
Yes, yeah.
So you've shared a little bit about what shifts you've seen in yourself through hypnotherapy, but what other amazing things have you witnessed in like clients and?
Right. Okay. So, with clients, there's been so many different transformations, but what I can say is one of the biggest transformations is when people get out of their own way, when they start to feel confident, when they know their worth, when they charge what they're, because I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and sales professionals, and I see that they're charging what they should be charging. Their business is growing. I mean, they're tapped into that limitless potential, which we all have the ability to tap into. And that's why, I meditate and do self-hypnosis every day, because so I get to see clients get out of their own way and create the life that they want to live and to be the person that they want to be. That is so powerful, Lynn. I get so excited.
Yeah, we get in our own way so many ways.
That's right. The self-sabotage, the anxiety, the fears. And so I teach people how to shift that. And then also hypnosis is such a powerful way to do that, because I love the conscious mind, but the conscious mind, of course, and we need the conscious mind.
Right.
But if
it has its job.
It has its job. It has its job. But if we can align, essentially, and Dr. Joe doesn't say it in this way, but if we can align the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, aligning them together to what you want to create and to teach your mind to work for you, we are limitless.
Yes. So that's the true beauty of working with that part of the mind, and like you said, aligning the two. We have daily access, obviously, to our conscious mind, but oftentimes it can run amok too, right?
It can. Yes.
It can start telling us all sorts of stories as well about things.
That's right.
So that's definitely where the power of, meditation and being intentional with our thoughts is.
Yes. It's such a powerful way, empowering way to live.
Yes. Beautiful. So you've seen a lot of people just get out of their own way in terms of, blocks that maybe they've had for years, and
public speaking, confidence, anxiety, just living, it's interesting. I work with all ages, but to see people who have anxiety be maybe not always anxiety free, but know how to, they listen to the audios, because I have my client, I record the audio sessions, and they listen to the audios, and they'll send me texts, and, I had the most amazing day. I didn't think about, I wasn't unkind to myself, or, I didn't think mean thoughts. That's usually what a teenager will say to me. And it just feels so good to know that they're changing the way that they think about themselves.
Yes.
And that is,
and to be able to do that work at that younger age too. I mean, it's so powerful. They don't have to go through all the years that so many of us have gone through and then figure it out. It's like, if you could figure it out, at 13, 14, 15,
their whole lives,
your whole life is
even 20-year-olds. I'm like, oh my gosh, they have their whole lives.
Yes, exactly.
Like, so
I
good.
know. I find it exciting to get to work with younger people too. And they shift so quickly too, because it's like we don't have 20 layers of something to work through. It's
so amazing to see. It's so amazing to see anyone change.
Yes, for sure. It's always just a different process watching, young people. I always see it be really fast, versus.
It is really fast, Lynn. It's like, it could be one session sometimes, depending on what it is.
It's done,
Yeah. I'm working with a little one, and she's 7, with a fear of rain. No, we're in Oregon.
Yes.
So it rains a lot,
right,
and her mom is sending me messages like, I cannot, she's like, I'm amazed. We have had one session at the difference.
Beautiful. Yeah. It is amazing how fast things can shift. I know after the first session I had with you on the PTSD, it's like I went from kind of feeling like every time I would get on the freeway and just being like, my hands would be all like sweaty and clammy. My heart would be racing. And then one day I was like, okay, I usually was choosing to go other ways if I could.
Right.
And if it took me longer to get there, because I was like, I don't like feeling anxious. I don't think most people do.
No.
And so I was just choosing a way that worked better for my nervous system.
Yeah, right.
And then one day I was like, I think I'm going to try to go at least part of the way to this appointment, on the freeway. And it was just like, wow, I didn't feel any of those same symptoms in my body. Just, it was like, I'm so much calmer. I was actually practicing a speech that I was rehearsing as I was driving. And I don't think before I ever could have done that,
That's amazing.
Like
Yeah,
yeah, busy
totally.
in my freak out to access the part of my brain that was like working on memorization.
That's right. That's amazing that you could have done that.
So,
but I'm so glad. Yeah. And when you're ready, when a client is ready, just the change can happen so easily.
Yes. And I think that's definitely one of the messages I think that you and I both love to share is, change doesn't have to be hard, and, healing doesn't have to be something that takes forever. It definitely.
Thank you for saying that.
And I hear people sometimes say things like that, and I'm like, now my brain just goes, that's a belief system,
It is a belief. I know.
And it's one that's easy to fall into because we're told that by, mainstream
everyone,
or doctors, this is like when I work with people with chronic illness, this is never going to go away. Well, if you believe it's never going to go away, it probably will never go away. If you believe it could heal, then I certainly believe it has a good chance of healing.
I know. It's such good stuff.
It
really is.
When we work with that, with that.
That's right.
Conscious mind and the subconscious mind.
That's right. Yeah, they work together. You're absolutely right. We need the conscious mind. We do.
But sometimes it's like when we're not getting to the subconscious, it's like we can write all the affirmations that we want, but if subconsciously we don't believe it.
That is the truth. Yes. And such a good point, because I work with a lot of people with, people see me for different reasons, but one that I'm working more and more with is money. Is that people can say a money affirmation until they're blue in the face.
Right.
They don't believe it in their subconscious mind. If they haven't done the work, if they don't really understand what it is that's blocking them.
Yeah, it's just, it's kind of like pointless repetition of something that's not actually shifting.
I love that you speak my language.
That's definitely why I was like, we have to have a conversation and share it with people on the show.
I know.
This is important things that, sometimes we don't hear about. Other people don't talk about, and we need to start to shift conversations to understanding just how powerful we are.
Yeah.
How powerful our minds are, how powerful creators we are. We're creating our reality, whether we're consciously choosing to do it or not.
Oh my gosh, that's absolutely right. That's exactly right.
Beautiful. Well, I know you said that you kind of had a little something you wanted to make sure everybody listening just kind of takes away from our conversation.
Yeah. So Dr. Joe Dispenza doesn't call this a brain hack. This is Mary Lou calling it a brain hack, but he talks about gratitude. And there's so many reasons why we're grateful. When we practice gratitude, it gives us perspective on everything that we do have in our lives. I practice gratitude in meditation and self-hypnosis. And when I'm practicing gratitude, I am practicing gratitude for things that haven't happened yet, for what I'm creating. And so when I'm practicing gratitude for what I'm creating, even though externally I don't have it yet, I'm believing it with my mind that I do have it. And what's happening is that I'm sending a signal to my brain that the event has already occurred. So Dr. Joe Dispenza says the best way to remember your future is to create it. And so practicing gratitude is a beautiful way when we're in deep relaxation, whether you want to call it meditation or self-hypnosis, is a way to create and to bring it to you because your brain is already believing it to be true.
Nice.
And it is just powerful stuff. So I always include gratitude.
Yes. So even if you're not someone who's like, oh, I need to go for hypnosis, if you're somebody who likes to meditate and who wants to set intentions for whatever, whether that be your physical healing, emotional healing, transformation of your life in any way.
That's right.
That's a powerful tip for sure, is to make sure that you're including the gratitude, basically as if it's already happened.
Right.
So again, as you said, your brain doesn't know the difference between what you're envisioning and your current reality. So.
That's right, Lynn. And if, people who are meditating, it's just having a clear intention. I have a clear intention every time I meditate, whatever that is. And then I feel it in my heart. And then I practice gratitude. So it's just such a beautiful way to live.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, I so appreciate you sharing some of your wisdom and your story and
Yeah.
just giving everyone a little bit of a sense, first of all, of what hypnosis is and what it's
Yeah.
not.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
sure there's
Yes.
lots of re-education to still
That's
be
right.
done.
That's right. It's for transformational and healing purposes, which I should have said in the beginning, and I don't know why that escaped my mind. But yeah,
No,
it's,
but I think you made it pretty clear, you know.
thank you.
Unfortunately, I think we've been done a disservice by things we've seen on, you know,
Right.
movies and TV, and we think,
Yeah.
you know, that
Right.
it's going to be being made to do something
Yeah.
that makes you look foolish, or,
Nope.
you know.
You're always in control, and you
Yep.
can always say no.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So you don't,
Yeah.
you know, you get to choose how deep you relax. You get
That's
to
right.
choose,
That's
you know,
right.
if you want to resonate with whatever is being
That's
said
right.
to you.
That's absolutely right, Lynn. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, again, thank you for taking a little bit of time to share your story and just share what's the best way if people want to connect with you and learn a little bit more about your work.
Yeah. So my website is LIfe Guidance Hypnosis. LifeGuidanceHypnosis.com. My name is Mary Lou Rodriguez, so you can find me either way. And I offer free consultations, and everything's via Zoom or in person if you're in Oregon.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. You can work with people at a distance, like I can work with people.
That's right.
At a distance, and
Yeah.
it's so awesome to be able to help people no matter where they are in the world.
That's right. Absolutely.
Beautiful. Well, again, thank you for taking the time, and I hope that our listeners are taking away some beautiful takeaways, especially about gratitude and the power of their subconscious mind.
Yeah. Lynn, thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored.
You're very
really
welcome.
Grateful.
You're very welcome. So until next time, everyone, I will see you in health.